No, you don't need the.
I'm doing this my way. He a legend, he a legend, he a legend. He a legend, he a legend, he a legend. He a legend. Welcome to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league of idols. Welcome to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league of idols.
Welcome back to Summoner's Rift. In our first game in China, we have Invictus Gaming and LNG surrounding the Baron pit. LNG goes in for an engage, but then Bar turns off Baron as Invictus Gaming turns off the lights on LNG. The two-game sweep was simple for the better team in China. In our second match in China, Xiao, who do you think you are, is looking for an engage onto Sunning, but Sword Art is able to save Syndra. And Huan Feng is looking like a beast on Aphelios. Sunning secures the win in Game 3 and wins the series 2-1. In Korea, we had everyone's favorite telecom war, T1 taking on KT. T1 was demolishing KT all day. But in the late game teamfight, Cuz is the first one to fall. Luckily, they have Teddy on Aphelios because that champion is ridiculous. Kana looks to secure multiple kills, successfully killing Ezreal. Easy word to say. I'm not hungover, you're hungover. T1 wins. In the final match of the day, we have the Fighting Yamato Cannons of Sandbox Gaming taking on Seoul Haewon Prince. In Game 1, they secure the Baron and look for a teamfight. Volibear is trying to chase down Root, but there is too much lifesteal. 23 kills in Game 1 secures a victory for Sandbox. Hey, what's up everybody? It's Pikel with League of Items, and sorry for the absence yesterday. I intended on making a couple of videos. I knew that I was going to be playing golf, but just scheduling, my schedule just didn't allow for me to make the videos that I wanted to make, and my bad. But we're back. Didn't win any more seats since I last put out a video, but I'll probably try to lock up my last seat this weekend for the tournament in October. That's the goal, at least. Some interesting matches today. Invictus Gaming 2-0, pretty obvious, I think. T1 2-0. I didn't think that was going to be a good DraftKings match, and I was kind of right about that one. RNG against Sunning. I had Sunning. Interesting match. Didn't necessarily expect that low of DraftKings scoring. And then, of course, the chalk hit. So Sandbox beat up on Seoul Haewon Prince. Seoul Haewon Prince is one of the best teams to target for fantasy scoring against, and people seem to like Sandbox Gaming right now. I will be kind of anti-Sandbox Gaming still. In the beginning, it was a meme. But now, if it's going to become like the chalk play a lot of the time, or the public play, then I'll definitely be on the other side of that. Yep. I'll probably get an angry phone call from Yamato Cannon sometime soon. But let's take a look at the matches for tomorrow. I'm not going to break down every single match, and I'm not going to break down both slates for tomorrow. The European, the LEC is on tomorrow, but I'm not going to break down that DraftKings slate yet. I might do that tonight on the stream or whatever. Actually, maybe I will do both. But for one of them, I'm going to use a sheet to help with the visuals, and the other one, I'm not going to. So first up, we have DRX against Hanwha Life. So obviously, DRX is a much better team than Hanwha Life. If you want to play the whole like DRX is going in the wrong direction thing, you can try, but there's no way I'm going to have exposure to Hanwha Life tomorrow. If they win and that costs me a seat, then whatever. Afreeca Freecs against Damwon Gaming. This is an interesting match. I think that Afreeca Freecs in their last match, they got swept, but the money line just wasn't right last time, and I don't think it's right now. So this line is this way because Damwon Gaming looks like one of the best teams in Korea, if not the world, and everybody's pretty high on them, which is fine. Like, it's completely reasonable. I think that Damwon Gaming is a very good team. I just think that Afreeca Freecs does have ways to win this match. So I would say if you're looking for a real life bet, you probably want to bet on game 1 or game 2. Betting on the match is going to be tough. Rogue Warriors against Fun Plus Phoenix. FPX has been looking pretty bad recently. Rogue Warriors is not a team that you really have to be scared of in general, but they did beat LGD in their last match, which was pretty surprising. So I think that, again, it's relatively obvious what side most people are going to be on. You need to ask yourself is what is the upside of Rogue Warriors if they do manage to beat Fun Plus Phoenix, and I think it is relatively high. Fun Plus Phoenix, when they lose, they do give up a lot of points, so I don't think that getting exposure to Rogue Warriors is insane tomorrow. I just think that 2-0 for FPX is the much more likely outcome, because they'll probably take out their anger for their recent failures. They'll probably take that all out on Rogue Warriors. EDG against LGD. So two good teams, two teams that I'm very interested in long term. I like them both for DraftKings and DraftKings scoring. LGD against EDG. Yeah, just good teams. We'll break that down a little bit more, but I want to get through the rest of the games that are on tomorrow's, not slate, but on tomorrow's schedule. LEC is back, so SK Gaming against Schalke. SK Gaming is minus 189 right now. I think that's a little bit high. I would consider looking at Schalke at 144. I know that they don't have many victories and they don't look great and they don't have any players that are great, but Schalke is not significantly worse than SK Gaming in my opinion. We need to make sure that now is the time where we have like half of a split of data. Like both actual data and statistics, but also just being able to watch the games. I think that Schalke definitely has chances to beat SK. So 144, not the best line in the world. I would prefer it a little bit higher. So I'm not sure if it's really a value bet, but it is. I do think it's a live dog. Rogue against XL Esports. This is a spot where I think that Rogue is overrated, and I think that XL does have a chance of winning this match. But again, it's tough if you're looking for value. So Rogue at minus 240, that is over 70%. In general, I think in best of ones, you can kind of go by the 70-30 rule. That's really the highest that I would make most matches. Maybe you can get to 80-20 in some spots, but 70-30 is really where I'm comfortable. So I'm not getting a ton of value there. It's probably a game I'm not going to bet. If XL were in the 250 range, I think that's really where I would need to be to make a bet. Maybe just 200. 2-1 would probably be fine, actually. Next up, Vitality and Fnatic. So Fnatic has been looking bad recently. I definitely think they'll turn it around before the end of the season. Vitality is not a team that I'm afraid of. I don't love their roster. So, yeah. I think that it's another pretty obvious spot of what side that I'll end up picking for my picks that I keep track of. Yeah, pretty obvious. Misfits against Origin. So this one's actually kind of surprising to me. Origin is listed as the favorites at minus 122. I would expect that line to move towards Misfits. I think that Misfits should be the favorite in this spot. And yeah, I mean, that's basically it. I think Misfits should be the favorite. That doesn't necessarily mean that I think Misfits wins the match tomorrow. I just think that the public perception right now is that Misfits is a team that's going in the right direction and the Origin squad is going in the wrong direction. So, again, I think that like I haven't looked at the DraftKings pricing yet for Misfits and Origin, but I think that Misfits will probably be priced higher. I think that DraftKings might get it right, and it'll be the closest match on the slate probably as well. G2 and Mad. So I bet that these two teams get priced up relative to the other teams, regardless of what the money lines say, because these are two of the better DraftKings scoring teams that are in Europe right now. So G2 at -170. Perks is coming back, so that's going to be very important to see how they respond to Perks coming back. I would assume they respond well. G2 is in a spot where they need to start churning out victories and kind of get their ish together before the playoffs. Mad Lions at +130. That's a horrible bet. If you're out there betting Mad Lions at +130, you need to see a doctor. Great. We got advertisements. So basically, the reason why I have the music on today is because this guy on Twitter, Matt Churn, he has a bunch of songs and like basically just beats that are available to people to use while streaming on Twitch and YouTube and stuff like that. And like I just figured I play a lot of the same music. It'd be nice to have something else going on besides Peyton Manning and advertisements. So actually, I'm gonna get Spotify. I'm gonna get Spotify Premium like right when I finish this video. But I've actually been listening to some of this guy's stuff, and it's like good background music, and it's without lyrics and everything. You don't have to worry about copyright infringement. Like he allows people to use it as long as you ask for permission. And I think that's real cool. So good for that guy. And if you like any of the songs specifically, you should probably check him out on Spotify. Still stalling. Advertisements are killing me. This is pretty funny. I guess this is probably the best reason to get Spotify Premium. So the last match is not the last match. The last two matches are in North America. TSM against 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves have been looking pretty good since they switched up their roster. TSM is still TSM. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to justify betting on 100 Thieves at +150. I don't think that's a great number for them. So you really have to just believe that you would basically have to convince me that the line is wrong for you to make a bet in this match. And I don't think the line is far off at all. So it's 150, so that's 40%. I think 60-40 is pretty accurate. Second match, very interesting. Team Liquid against Evil Geniuses. That's a very interesting match to me. I think that the line being at 120, it's 55-45. Well, I guess it's like 60-something to 45. But I do think it's a 55-45 match. But which side? Team Liquid obviously has been better results-wise. But I generally make my picks based off of talent and things of that nature. So I'm gonna give a long, hard look at Evil Geniuses for my pick tomorrow. I'm not sure that's the side that I'll come down on. I'll have to look through everything, but I am at least considering it. So let's take a look at tomorrow's slate for the LPL and the LCK. All right. So this is the player pool for tomorrow. I just wanted to do it this way because like it's a little more helpful to see everything relative to one another instead of just a list of names. So obviously, the four favorites are up top, the four underdogs are underneath, and then this is scored by color. So basically, one thing that we know about the money line is that it significantly impacts the ranking of the team slot because that's just kind of how they do their pricing. And then it fluctuates between the different positions based on how popular those players are. It's a combination of popularity plus money line. So we can go. Let's go to The first match is DRX against Hanwha Life. So we have Haro against Dudu. Dudu, Hanwha Life in general has just looked like very, very bad. So I don't know who's starting in the top lane for Hanwha Life. It doesn't really matter. We will know before lock, but I couldn't see myself rostering anybody from Hanwha Life tomorrow. It's going to be an extremely low owned play. If you're max entering some of these GPPs, then whatever. I guess you kind of have to get some exposure to it, but I mean, come on. Like, that's pretty disgusting. I don't want any part of that. So then the question becomes, can DRX beat Hanwha Life and hit value? So in general, DRX is a pretty good DraftKings team because they win so often. And when they win, if they're playing against a bad team that allows them to get additional kills, they'll go after them. But they're not going to force situations that generate a lot of kills. So if they think they can end the game, they will just end the game. They're not going to mess around trying to farm kills or anything like that, which does limit their upside a little bit. So basically, if I was using DRX as a primary or secondary stack, it's going to come down to, do I think they get the 2-0? And in those two games, how bloody is it? So Hanwha Life's scores are bad because they lose very often, but they don't strike me as the kind of team that's just going to intentionally give up, not intentionally, but they're not going to give up 20-25 kills. It's possible. It's just I don't think it's likely. I think it's pretty similar to the T1 KT match from today. I'm not a big fan of this match for DraftKings purposes. Next up, we have Fun Plus Phoenix against Rogue Warriors. Actually, let me go back through DRX to see the pricing. So Doran at 6,200, that's a pretty good price. That's going to help Doran be used as a one-off and secondary stacks. Piosik at 7,000, so the second most expensive jungler on the slate. That it'll make sense to keep Piosik in your primary and secondary stacks if you think DRX gets the 2-0 tomorrow. I think they will be relatively highly owned. DRX is probably going to be extremely owned, actually, because you're going to assume that they get the 2-0. For the lineups that they work in, you're just going to assume that they go 2-0 and the kills are okay. So I think DRX as a secondary stack is going to be pretty popular. Very popular. Recovering from yesterday. So next up, we have Chovy in the mid lane. Chovy is the third most expensive mid laner on the slate. Chovy is one of the best mid laners in the world, and this price is very good for Chovy. This makes me more interested in double mid lane lineups with Chovy as the captain, or with Chovy as the second part of that lineup, where like he's the actual mid laner instead of the captain. So Chovy's ownership makes sense. Chovy's ownership is going to be high because it makes sense in primary stacks, makes sense in secondary stacks, and also makes sense as a one-off. Now, you don't typically one-off a mid lane, but if you can get more equity into a lineup, more win equity into a lineup by rostering Chovy instead of a different mid laner, then I think it opens up a couple different options, interesting options for DraftKings reasons. So, like, if you're using Doran and Chovy as a secondary stack, I think that's a pretty good way to make lineups tomorrow. Yeah, moving on, Deft is the second most expensive AD carry at 8,000. So 8,000 compared to Chovy's 7,400, like, that's kind of what I'm looking for in terms of see, it's tough though, because like I know that the right play would be to go to Chovy and like get more exposure to Chovy than Deft, and have some more Chovy captain than Deft captain, but is everyone going to think like that and kind of mess up the ownership? Because I don't really care about ownership too much, like when they're parts of random lineups, it's really only significant if you're trying to get unique. So Chovy as a captain is going to open up a lot of different roster combinations tomorrow. I think that's going to be I think that might actually be a very popular spot, which is going to be kind of upsetting for me. Because it's like, it's the play that I want to make, but I don't know if I'm going to be allowed to make it for like game theory reasons. Because like the way that I approach satellites kind of changes how I look at these players. Or satellites and qualifiers. Last up is Keria. Keria is 6,000. So again, supports are probably the second most highly impacted by the win percentage and like how the match plays out. So like an 80 carry in a 2-1 or a 1-2, they can score about the same, like theoretically, but it's not likely. A support in a 1-2 and a 2-1, the chances of them being close in the score, like it's not even really an option for the most part. If you're a support, you're going to want to have a 2-0, if not a 2-1, where you're a part of a primary stack that just goes insane. So Keria will have high ownership unless the salaries kind of make it impossible. Next up, we have Khan and Fun Plus Phoenix against Rogue Warriors. So in the top lane, we have Khan against Holder. I believe Holder's playing, and after their 2-0 victory, I just think that there's no way that they kind of change out their roster. I think this is the roster they used. I'm not sure about the support, but I'll check that later on, and you should obviously check that when you get the chance as well, because I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. So Khan against Holder. Khan's definitely the better player. Holder did have a really good match against LGD, I think, but Khan is Khan. Khan, it's not the same level as like the Shy and being able to counter teams with very good picks. Khan is more likely to like exploit something that you forgot to block against him. So like if you lock a tank against him, he's not going to pick something that necessarily destroys the tank in lane. He's going to pick something that probably scales out of control and is able to split push or something like that. Like the Fiora comes to mind that he pulled out. That was pretty good. So it looks like FPX is the most expensive team on the slate in 4 out of 5 positions. Tian 7,200, Duanbe 8,000, LWX 8,200. Like I said earlier, I think that this matchup does kind of warrant very high ownership on FPX, so we're going to have to see if there's any underdogs that we like in order to roster Fun Plus Phoenix as our primary stack with Duanbe or LWX as our captain. So for that reason, I think a lot of Fun Plus Phoenix's ownership is going to be tied up into EDG, so that's interesting. I haven't been able to run any stats on stuff like that, but that's one of the next things that I'm working on, is like how to identify which teams were combined with other teams, like by calculating like the number of players in each contest through the CSV and stuff like that. So that'll be interesting to take a look at. It's definitely something I can figure out. I just haven't spent the time to do that, which is pretty stupid. I think probably I should have done that a long time ago. All right, next up, Damwon Gaming. So Damwon Gaming, we have Nogri, Canyon, Showmaker, Ghost, and Beryl. They're playing against the Afreeca Freecs, Keen, Spirit, Fly, Mystic, and Ben. This should be the roster that they run out there. But it is the last match of the night, so we do have to be a little bit more careful than usual. The one thing about Afreeca Freecs is they did lose their last match decisively, so they might be looking at making a roster move. I don't have any reason to think that they will do it, other than the fact that they got swept in their last match. So Damwon Gaming against Afreeca Freecs. Nogri and Keen, both very good top laners. Not necessarily a gigantic advantage for Nogri. This is right? I feel like I was just talking about this matchup. Yeah. So then we have Canyon and Spirit. So Canyon continues to play well. Spirit is a jungler that I'm not overly enthusiastic about. Just the champion pool that they end up playing on stage is not something that excites me. He does have the potential to play Nidalee and stuff like that, but it just doesn't really happen very often. So the upside isn't there really for a captain, for Spirit to be a captain. It's mostly just like, does Spirit fit into a secondary stack? Or if I'm taking a shot with the Afreeca Freecs as my primary, do I even need to have it in there for salary reasons? Because a lot of the time people just move off of it. So if Afreeca Freecs like 2-0s or wins this in a very high scoring explosive matchup, then yeah, you're obviously going to want Spirit. But I don't think that's the outcome that most people are going to be building towards. Next up, Showmaker against Fly. So Showmaker is obviously much better than Fly. Showmaker is one of the best mid laners in the world. Yeah, not much to say on that one. I really think the only interesting match is LGD EDG. FPX Rogue Warriors is interesting for DraftKings reasons, but I don't really think that the outcome is in any question. So let's just go to the last match. LGD EDG. Longshi, Peanut, Shie, Kramer, and Mark against Audi, Jai, Scout, Hope, and Mako. So they might switch out their jungler. I'm not sure. I haven't seen the rosters yet that are going to be posted for tomorrow. But when those come out, I will retweet them. In the top lane, we have Longshi against Audi. So Longshi, I think, Longshi is more of a known commodity. Oh, they actually, EDG played a different top laner for one of their games last time. I'm not sure if they're going to continue that. So again, we have to wait for the roster. I wonder if they have the other guy priced up higher. Yeah, so they have Xiao Shang as the top laner on here. Not sure how likely that is. I mean, LGD could theoretically switch out their top laner as well. Longshi didn't look good in that last match. So I don't really think there's a gigantic advantage either way. Xiao Shang does have an interesting champion pool. I think they play a lot of Kennen. So that is something to watch out for. That might actually give you some additional upside. Peanut against Jai. I think Peanut is one of the better junglers in China. I'm pretty sure one of the EDG junglers plays Nunu. And we haven't seen anybody play Nunu yet, but I think that we will see somebody play Nunu. That would be one potential way for the game to get out of control, because AP Nunu is pretty scary right now. Next up, we have Shie and Scout in the mid lane. I think this is a very even matchup, if not favored for Scout. Shie does have the high upside as a mid laner. Shie often gets, well, not often, but Kassadin is in Shie's champion pool, which is one of the best possible champions for DraftKings, because if they win and Kassadin is on their team, Kassadin has like 10 kill upside in any game that it's picked. In the bot lane, we have Kramer and Mark against Hope and Mako. I think Hope and Mako are just better than Kramer and Mark. Kramer and Mark looked pretty bad in their last match. And like I said, Kramer is not the kind of player that can really... I mean, he can dominate a game, but it's not like... It's just not the same as a lot of these other AD carries. Let me just make sure I've got that information right about their last match. Yeah, so LG's last match was against Rogue Warriors, and yeah, Kramer and Mark got outplayed pretty hard. Like, they won their first laning phase, I think, as with like a Nautilus. Like, Mark played pretty well on Nautilus, but they played Jhin in the second game. Did they play Jhin in both games? I need to get that correct, because that really annoyed me. Yeah, they played Jhin both games. Yeah, I could not believe that when I was watching that. That just tilted me so hard. I had them in like one of the big contests, and just blew my mind that they would do something like that. like from a drafting perspective, it just made no sense. It just made no sense when they showed it. And again, LG's the 4th most expensive team, 4th most expensive top lane, 3rd most expensive jungler because Peanut's very popular, 4th most expensive mid lane, 3rd most expensive AD carry, and 4th most expensive support. So I do think we're going to see a lot of LGD and a lot of EDG. I'll use my sheet later today around 10 o'clock Eastern. Maybe, actually, I don't even know if I can. I don't even know if I'll be awake at that point. I'm still in recovery mode. But yeah, I'll try to use the sheet tonight on stream, or at least for people in Discord. That might actually be the better way to go. So that is all I have for you today, at least in this video. I'm gonna try to do my rankings, and I'll make a rankings video as well. But yeah, the European slate, I might have to post a separate video for that for DraftKings as well. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video or want access to my picks, please consider supporting the channel by donating through Patreon. It's $10 a month. You get to join the Discord community, and once you join Discord, you get access to my picks. I try to put my picks up every single day, and also whenever I make a sheet for myself, like what you see in front of you now, I post it into Discord before the end of the night. It does get manipulated a lot, and like sometimes I have to change rosters, so it's not always up to date when like you receive it, as opposed to like when it's going to be relevant. But yeah, it's always a tool that you are able to use. So thanks again for watching, and like I said, check out Matt Churn. Actually, some pretty good music. I mean, it's been playing this whole time, and you're still here. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.